Welcome to JAR Nation Session 4. For today's session, you're going to need the following materials: the volunteer guidebook, your Get to Keep the Job pamphlet that will have the front of the student's pretend resume, and then also the point sheets for the activity that we'll be doing later in this session. Be prepared to access the digital presentation for this session at learn.ja.org. You can work with your classroom teacher to determine whether you or the teacher would be responsible for pulling up the digital presentation each time you go into the classroom. We recommend asking the teacher to have the presentation ready for you if possible. To aid in preparation and facilitation, you'll notice in the guidebook blue text boxes, which contains JA of South Dakota session-specific teaching tips, and yellow text boxes, which include vocab terms and presentation content that is not already in the guidebook. Today's session is all going to be about interviewing and having those conversations with your students about the do's and the don'ts. We'll start off again with some vocab terms. Again, I'll encourage you to have the students come up to the front of the room to be the vocab experts for them to share what their definition is. And again, reiterate what an employee is or whatever that word is. Today's activity is really going to focus on interviewing. So share with the students stories about your interview experience that you've had. If you are able to, or if you can, print off a copy of your resume and take it into your class. You can share with your class your resume and pass it out so they can see what one looks like. They'll begin to start asking questions, think about things that will be on their resume, and this can really highlight an overview of the things that you've done and have been successful before and how you can help the new company with your job. To start today's activity, you're going to be doing some mock interviews. Remind the student that it's okay if you mess up during this experience because this is just for practice. You might have a class that is really excited with being able to do interviews. You might need to start off saying, we're going to do 2 interviews, and as time allows, at the end of our period, we'll be able to continue having more interviews, or we might just have to be done for the day. This is usually a really exciting opportunity for students to come up if they would like to be interviewed or if they would like to ask questions. As you call students up and start asking them about the pride they take into their work and how they are with getting to work on time, they might struggle. So you can give them a little tip or some tricks or some hints. Once you're done your interviews, you're going to go into your activity called Get and Keep the Job. I recommend splitting the classroom up into 3 different groups. And students can play this similar to a game show. They are also going to need their point sheets where they will mark down their points. Once you have 3 groups, you can have one student from each group come up to the board and select a number. They can tap on it and they are going to see that they've earned 100 points for being adaptable. So for group number 1, they'll all mark down on their point sheets 100 points and their work readiness skills as being adaptable. You're going to go through all 16 different squares and see who has the most points at the very end. This is a great activity for them to start learning about different work readiness skills and for you to share stories that you have that align with those different work readiness skills, and maybe a time that you were adaptable or you've had to overcome something at work. It's a great opportunity for volunteers to plug in their own real-life examples as they're sharing with the students. Then they're going to have the opportunity to start focusing on their own resume so they can start filling out their name, what kind of job they would like, what education maybe is needed, the skills and the work experience. For some students, They may not have an idea of what it is they want to do. Others are immediately going to know what it is they would like to do. Remind them to think about jobs that you talked about in the previous session during their career quest. So think through those different career clusters that they talked about and what was the job that really stuck out to them. If they are unsure, you can begin having conversations with your class about different jobs they are interested in as time allows. This is the end of session 4. We hope you enjoy your time in the classroom.